deep in the Japanese countryside, stretches out in endless, flat miles of flooded rice paddies beneath a punishing sun. The temperature routinely climbs so high that the ground bakes, creating thick heat mirages that violently warp the air and distort anyone walking through it. For a teenager used to the concrete and noise of the city, visiting relatives out here is an exercise in absolute boredom. He's highly rational, deeply skeptical, and completely understimulated. Take that crushing heat, pair it with the dead silence of the fields, and trap an idle mind inside it. It creates a psychological vacuum. The brain starts desperately searching for anything to process. Sitting on the porch, his eyes catch a flash of stark white far out in the agricultural fields. It looks like a long, pale ribbon. The object is thrashing violently, whipping back and forth across the crops. But the air is completely dead. There isn't a single breeze to explain why this thing is moving. When humans encounter a visual contradiction, our evolutionary wiring kicks in. We are built to lock on to anomalies and identify them, because historically, ignoring an unknown movement could mean missing a hidden predator. The biological drive to categorize the unknown acts as a trap. He remains rooted to the spot, compelled to reconcile the contradiction, rather than simply retreating to safety. Driven entirely by that curiosity, he steps off the porch, walks inside, and retrieves his grandfather's heavy binoculars. He stops being a passive observer and actively chooses to investigate. He lifts the heavy lenses to his eyes. This specific motion strips away his peripheral vision, completely blocking out the sky and the surrounding farmhouses. His visual cortex is forced to process one single point of data. The blur snaps into focus. It is paper white, shaped somewhat like a human, but it has no bones. It is contorting and twisting its limbs at a speed no biological creature could survive. Arms and legs snap backward and fold through each other. It is a physical structure that directly violates the mechanics of a skeletal system. The glass lenses serve as a direct bridge for information his psyche isn't equipped to process. He has crossed into a level of comprehension that cannot be undone. The physical reaction is instantaneous. The binoculars slip from his fingers and hit the dirt. The blood completely drains from his face, leaving it the color of ash. His eyelids are stretched back so forcefully that the tiny capillaries in his sclera burst, flooding his eyes with red as they reflect the white shape still dancing in the distance. The absolute quiet of the rural afternoon is shattered by a sudden, jagged sound. He starts laughing, a loud, rhythmic, completely manic sound. His spine bends backward, his arms flail, and his entire body aggressively thrashes, perfectly mimicking the rhythm of the pale entity. At this exact millisecond, his sanity is deleted. The internal logic that defined him as a person is on, replaced by the violent, mindless imitation of what he's seeing. The entity never crossed the field. It never laid a hand on him. His own brain shattered itself trying to process a truth it wasn't equipped to hold. Today, he resides entirely within the walls of a secure psychiatric facility, staring down an empty institutional hallway. He spends his hours endlessly twisting his limbs in that same unnatural rhythm, looking at a blank wall, quietly repeating the phrase, "I saw it. I saw it." The farmers who have lived in these valleys for generations maintain one very specific, strict rule regarding the white shape they call the Kunekune. Never look at it closely. If you see the twisting shape in the distance, ignore it. The danger lies entirely in comprehension. The moment you realize exactly what you are looking at, your mind will break. While the story feels like an ancient agricultural myth, it actually surfaced much more recently. It first appeared on the Japanese text board 2 channel in the year 2001. That single anonymous post provided the exact narrative architecture for what would become an entire generation of modern Japanese internet folklore. This diagram illustrates the central concept of the story, the cognitohazard. A cognitohazard is a piece of information or a visual stimulus that is inherently dangerous to any mind that perceives it. The Kunekune legend persists because it preys on our deepest instinct to investigate the unknown. It serves as a terrifying reminder that in an era obsessed with uncovering every secret, some information is perfectly capable of destroying the mind that finds it.